Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I will be presenting empathy in peace in person-centered therapy and understanding from the perspective of the client's world. I'm conducting this presentation on behalf of my group members, that is Usra, myself, Kiran, and Mehwish. So let's start by first quoting a phrase from Henry David. And the phrase says that could a greater miracle take place than for us to look through each other's eyes for an instant? I think that really sums up what empathy is. I'll be introducing you to empathy and how it's linked to centered therapy. We're going to explore empathy, and then we will be looking at the application of empathy in PCT as well. So, introduction to empathy and person-centered therapy. Let's start with the primary objective. Empathy is basically the ability to share another person's emotions and experiences. And person-centered therapy, which is PCT, which was developed by Carl Rogers, it focuses on understanding the client's unique perspective. And the role of empathy in PCT is the core element where the client must be made understood, validated, and accepted, which in turn is going to lead to the personal growth by fostering self awareness as well as self acceptance. A little background of who was Carl Rogers. So, Carl Rogers was an American psychologist. He was one of the founders of humanistic psychology, and he's the one who developed person centered therapy, PCT. His contributions to psychology have been phenomenal, and he is the one who advocated the creation of a safe, non judgmental space in therapy. So let's begin by talking about the basic principles um, of PCT. So the first one here is going to be unconditional positive regard. This can be practiced through the therapist showing acceptance and non judgmental support to the client. Empathy is understanding the client's feelings as well as their experiences. And obviously, this is going to help build a genuine connection, fostering trust as well as openness. Congruence is when a therapist is genuine and they're transparent and they provide this authentic environment where the client feels safe to open up. Self actualization is the central belief in the client's ability to grow and reach their fullest potential. Therapy encourages clients to explore their feelings and beliefs for self discovery. We're going to move on and talk about the three core conditions for therapeutic change. One, according to Carl Rogers, is, of course, empathy, followed by unconditional positive regard, and then there is congruence. We'll be talking about all three of these in greater detail in the slides preceding. So let's start with the very first uh, thing that revolves around PCT, that's empathy. By definition, empathy is the therapist's ability to deeply understand and resonate the client's emotions as well as experiences. The purpose for empathy is, again, to be genuinely understood. Application of empathy in PCT is going to be when the therapist is going to actively listen, be present, and then mirror the client's experiences. Um, of course, clients needs validation and validation of their feelings so that they feel that they're in this safe environment where their journey of self exploration can progress. Unconditional positive regard, by definition, is providing a consistent, non judgmental acceptance of the client as they are without any conditions or expectations. The purpose is to encourage clients to express themselves freely without the fear of being judged. Application is that the therapist is going to support the client's growth by valuing their thoughts and their feelings. We move on to the third one, that's congruence. By definition, this is the therapist's ability to be open, to be genuine, and to be transparent in their interaction with the client. The purpose, again, is there to create this trustworthy environment. Application can be by fostering mutual respect and facilitating an authentic therapeutic relationship. So, why is empathy essential in therapy? Basically, in therapy, one of the core elements is to develop this deep connection, and empathy really allows the therapist to see the world through the client's perspective. It also provides accurate understanding because every client comes with a unique experience. And providing that non judgmental space where empathy is going to help the client feel seen and heard, encourage them to share openly. So, by moving on to exploring empathy and its different levels, we're going to start off by looking at the different levels of empathy. So, first we have cognitive empathy. This is about intellectually understanding what someone else is going through and thinking from their perspective. It doesn't necessarily mean you feel their emotion, but helps you logically grasp their experience. The other one is affective empathy. Now, this goes deeper emotionally. This type involves feeling to some extent what another person feels. In therapy, this can strengthen the connection between the therapist as well as the client, helping the client feel that their emotions are genuinely understood. So, why does empathy matter in therapy? It really does, because at its core, empathy creates the safe, trusting environment where clients feel understood, they're more likely to open up, and that sense of validation can be profoundly healing when they get that safe environment. That's where the healing journey begins. The importance of empathy in therapy is, of course, empathy is essential for building what we call the therapeutic alliance, the collaborative, the trusting partnership between the therapist as well as the client. And research also supports this. Studies have consistently shown that therapists with higher empathy levels have better results, with clients feeling more satisfied, progressing more quickly, and seeing reduced symptoms over time. Empathy also encourages clients to go deeper into self reflection, which is crucial for growth as well as healing. As therapists, showing empathy involves more than just understanding. It's about demonstrating it through active listening, using body language, and verbal affirmations to show that we truly get where the client is coming from. So, levels of empathy in therapy. We're going to start with basic empathy. This is simply about recognizing the client's emotion without deeply engaging. An example would be, it sounds like the situation frustrates you. This level helps establish initial trust. Then there is moderate trust empathy. This involves active listening as well as reflecting. Here, the therapist not only recognizes the emotion, but also reflects it in a way that shows that they truly understand. An example might be, it seems like you feel overwhelmed by everything that's happened. An advanced form of empathy takes it a step further. At this level, the therapist connects integratively with the client's emotions, bringing in both cognitive as well as affective empathy to offer insights. For example, the therapist might say, it seems like a part of you feels abandoned, which makes it challenging to trust others now. Let's explore that feeling. This deeper level of empathy can foster powerful breakthroughs for self awareness. Now, practicing empathy in therapy, there are ways in which a therapist can practice this. So, the first one is going to be empathetic listening. Then you can also use reflective statements. This could be by rephrasing what the client has already said to validate their feelings. An example here could be, "You've mentioned feeling lost after the breakup. Can you tell me more about that?" We can also provide emotional validations. Sometimes clients need to hear that their feelings make sense. A statement like, "It's understandable that you feel hurt after being treated that way," can provide immense relief to the client. However, there should always be boundary maintenance. While empathy is about connection, therapists also need to maintain this professional boundary, avoiding personal emotional entanglements. Empathy in therapy doesn't mean taking on the client's pain. It means staying grounded while understanding it deeply. So let's come to the application. To this topic. So, understanding the client's world through empathy. We have a case study here. So, I'd like everyone to go through the case study, and then we're going to take this into a video link that I'm going to play for you. So, first, I'll quickly go over the case study, and then I'll show you the video link, and then we'll take it further. So, the case study says that Joe is a 20-year-old college student. He was convinced of illegal possession of controlled substance, and he has been mandated to see a counselor through a drug and alcohol program. This clip is mid-season of their first meeting, and the therapist is demonstrating empathy through the use of silence as well as empathetic responses. I'll play the video for you, and then I'm going to open the floor for question and answers. Okay, so now that you've seen the video, I'd like to take this into some discussion points. So primarily, we'll be focusing on three main things. Effectiveness of empathetic responses. So you watch the video, I just want you to list down, how do empathetic reflections facilitate clients' self-discovery? I also want you to list down the role of silence in therapy. You just watch the clip. How many times was the therapist using silence? And then, of course, you saw a lot of integration of techniques as well in the clip that I just played for you. So I want you to pinpoint what were the non-verbal cues that the therapist used and what were the outcomes of those non-verbal cues. Thank you all for that discussion. I'd like to close today's presentation by this inspiring quote. It's extremely powerful to hear someone say, "I get you, I understand, I see why you feel this way." This kind of empathy actually disarms us and opens the world of healing and self-awareness. Thank you.